Welcome back to the Alien Spaceship Talk Show podcast. And in case you're just joining us, you're listening to the Alien Spaceship Talk Show podcast with Emmy Hikins and Trevor.
Yeah, anyway, they enjoyed it. They just thought, it was entertaining, especially the older ones. The ones that was my age group, they bought into it because it was fascinating to them. It was something that they wanted to be, they wanted to do. But for the older ones, so yeah. But then I grew old and I thought, this is not right, But then you could say, because I would say I was probably below 12 years of age at that point. So, then I grew up, I thought, this is not right. You can't just go around telling fake stories.
No.
You just can't go around telling fake stories to people. But yeah. No, I don't think all of us have they were my friends. There were some of my friends that I knew that they would absolutely tell you the truth. They would say, it could be something that would get them into a great deal of trouble, but they'd still tell you, well, I did it, and this is the reason why I did it. And you think, well, you fool. Why are you owning up to it? Now you're going to get into trouble for it. But that was them. I don't think everybody has a bit of Walter Mitty. No.
Okay, that's probably a fair answer. Probably not the best question to ask. Although interesting that you said, even as a child, you may have been on the very end of that spectrum, as probably lots of kids are, because kids more than adults probably would exaggerate something about themselves or about their life or whatever. But yeah, I'd like to think that most of us are pretty straight, and there's no mileage in pretending otherwise about our lives. Anyway, so that's Walter Mitty, and it's obviously raises the question of that kind of illness, undercurrent of problems, which everybody has. We all have problems, not necessarily Walter Mitty problems. But it brings us to the other subject I thought we'd have a look at as a conversation, right? And that is this excellent expression called "you got this." Now, over the last few years, I guess, we've had lots of words, expressions. In fact, language is kind of dynamic. It constantly has to evolve and develop. Otherwise, a language can die. So you got this as well. I don't know whether it came from America or whether it was here, but I think it's one of those great expressions which are very good either for oneself, if one is nervous about something that's coming up, you've got an interview or you're meeting someone or whatever, we sort of say to ourselves, you got this, you can deal with it. Or you can say it to someone else, to a friend or anybody else, you got this. And it's kind of boosting, isn't it, and bolstering. So anyway, I've got this book, which I saw a few months ago, with some of these expressions in. Some of them are comments or phrases made by well-known people like Michelle Obama, Taylor Swift is in there, Shakespeare is in there. Some are not attributed at all. But I've just highlighted here earmarked a few pages to see if we can just have a conversation about some of these things which it says in there. Okay, well, this one is by somebody called Toni Morrison. And he said, he or she is Toni, so it may be a lady. Your life is already a miracle of chance, waiting for you to shape its destiny. Now, I would say, as a brief comment to that, to say it again, your life is already a miracle of chance, waiting for you to shape its destiny. In other words, we've got this incredible thing we call life that we're blessed with, and what are we going to do with it, And the miracle, we probably touched on this before, but when you think, going back thousands and thousands of years, if one person in our chain, hereditary chain, had broken, had died, not been there, you and I wouldn't be here. People today would not be here, but it's an incredible lineage of people, our forefathers, our forebears, ancestors, going back, as I say, hundreds, thousands of years. If one of those people had not maintained that line towards us, we wouldn't be here, which is, I guess, a miracle. The odds of us being here are very, very tiny odds, small chance. So life is a miracle. And then we've got to say, well, are we just going to sort of sit back and just go with the flow, stay well within our comfort zone? Or are we going to try and go outside at that comfort zone? Another phrase often said is life begins outside of your comfort zone. So that's what, interested in what you think about this. Our life is a miracle, but how do we decide what we're going to do to make the most of this one life? I used to have a colleague a few years ago, and he died quite young of an illness. I think it was cancer, but something, he was a lovely bloke, but he was a bit miserable sometimes. I think in his job he didn't like it. And one of his expressions, we used to have chats about things, and he would say, "Oh, you're a long time."
We're going to take a short break now. We're back shortly. You've been listening to the Alien Spaceship Talk Show with Trevor and Emmy Hikins. The Alien Spaceship Talk Show podcast is looking for sponsors. If you're a company out there looking to spread the word about the products and services you provide, please get in touch with Deepstuff Radio Podcast on info@deepstuffrecords.com, or to use the contact form on our website to contact us, please visit radio.deepstuffrecords.com. Also, if you're looking to get involved on the Alien Spaceship Talk Show podcast, reach out via our Deepstuff Radio Facebook page. Thank you.